The leaks for chapter 322 are out, and they are insane. Kurona and Raichi make their entrance to the field, and Isagi awakens into some sort of wild beast, so not to waste any time, let's get right into it. The text starts by saying, the Nigeria match reaches its climax. Japan, maintaining their lead, unleashes a brand new ego. After that, we see the crowd being ecstatic, and the commentator says that with only 15 minutes left in the U20 World Cup opening match, the new U20 Blue Lock Japan leads 3-0, and now 2 substitutions are coming in, as we see the GOAT and the incredible Kurona starting to get ready to get in, as he says shark, and joining him is the other shark-toothed brother, Raichi, who looks equally as ecstatic as he starts pumping himself up to get in. Raichi then smirks, and I guess talks to himself as he says that the match closer steps into the field. Kurona also just jumps up with excitement as he tells them all to end it. We then see both Chigiri and Hiyori, who sadly were the ones who got subbed out. They look at Raichi and Kurona and tells them that they are leaving it to them and call them Jaggy Teeth. After that, we see our bowl-cut Ego, who says that the experiment has ended, and Henri continues, saying that there are only 15 minutes left. Ego then continues speaking as he tells his team to end this match without losing any goals, and just like that, the match has restarted, and we see Raichi, right off the bat, running with all that he can towards Kuso, who now has the ball. However, sadly, that has to wait as we get a small panel of Isagi along with the text, which simply just says his name. With that, we get to 44 days earlier, when they all had gotten their letter from Ego, and in Isagi's letter, Ego had told him that the more he understood about the world of football, the more he realized his values were being rewritten from scratch. After that, we see him in a whole crowd while watching a game, either the Spain or maybe the England game. Anyway, there he says that he knows that his sense of value changes and becomes newer. He then looks, I don't know how to put it, kind of scared, but also pumped up as he says that soccer is fun and also interesting, saying that he wants to try it as soon as he gets back and to try this new version of himself. While he is in his mind, he overhears 2 kids from his side who are screaming with all that they can when a player scores. One of them gets really into it as he says that he will also be a soccer player, and the other agrees and says that he wants to get the Ballon d'Or, and they then argue about who will win it. Isagi, on the side, just looks at the 2 of them going back and forth, and as he looks at it, he says that it reminds him, and we then see a small version of him where he asks himself why he started playing soccer. He even starts to cry. However, that was simply because he saw a mosquito, which scared him. His mother tries to come and comfort him by telling him that it's all right, and that it's gone now. After that, his father overhears them and says that Isagi really is a scaredy cat of anything, exposing him as he says that Isagi even cries at raindrops, and he says that he wonders why that is. After that, he switches up the conversation, and he has a huge smile on as he says that they should go somewhere as a family together, and he says that he finally got a hold of some tickets. Isagi, who still isn't really done crying, looks at him and asks him where they are going. After that, we fast forward and see the whole family in the soccer stadium as they are watching, quite obviously, a soccer game. They sit down, and his mother asks him if he is okay, even going as far as telling Isagi that he can tell them anytime if he gets scared. However, as his father feels a bit left out and wants to add to the conversation, he says that Isagi is surprisingly fine. We then get a close-up of Isagi's face, who looks super cute as he has a kind of a straw hat on him. Anyway, he thinks for a bit before saying that there are a lot of people and a lot of craziness. He looks even closer and says that they're chasing after a ball and says that this is an 11 versus 11 match to steal a goal. Hey, it's Natsu mid-editing here, and I just wanted to pause the video to ask you to subscribe if you haven't already, and while you're already down there, why not leave a like as well? We then get another close-up of Isagi, where we can see his eyes starting to really light up, and his brain also starts to dissolve like when he gets his puzzle pieces. However, this time it looks like it's bubbles. Anyway, he says that at that moment he feels like his brain has awakened. He even speaks out, and when one of the players scores a goal, he says that this is awesome, and he then wonders deeply about what this strange feeling could be. He said that he wanted to try that. He wanted to be there, and now that he thinks about it, he may have been stimulated by the so-called instincts of hunting that Ego mentioned. But whatever it was, he thought that soccer was fun, and he wanted to learn more about it. He wanted to grow stronger today and tomorrow, and then he became engrossed with himself. However, sadly, that feeling faded as he grew from a teen to an adult. We then get back to his first match, where his dogshit teammate Tada asked for a pass, and his coach went on about all for one and one for all. With all of this being forced upon Isagi, he says that the feeling was buried and that it disappeared, saying that it felt like he was dying inside. However, shortly after that, it's when everything changed for him, as when he got to Blue Lock and Ego started to talk about getting rid of one's common sense. And not only that, but also surrounding himself with all kinds of egoists. He then finally realized something, as at that time, the true form of what he had felt, the name of the passion that he had lost, is the curiosity to himself. With that, we get back into the game, where we see Onatsi losing the ball to Raichi and Kurona, who make an impact right from the get-go, as they have gotten the ball away. Raichi screams towards Onatsi and tells him that he isn't letting him go and calls him a luminous bastard. Kurona adds in, as he says that it's his turn, and calls it a pincer attack, completely locking down Onatsi and making him unable to even move. Onatsi is then obviously visibly annoyed as he just looks at this new furious defending combo. After that, Bello thinks that he is someone, so he rushes towards the ball and says that it's not over yet, as he will steal it. But just then, we get a small close-up panel of Isagi's eyes, which are beginning to enter meta-vision state, as he says that this is the way, and that if he doesn't excite himself, then who would want to live his own life? With that, he has his pieces going absolutely wild around him as he pushes Bello to the side, and he gets to the ball before him. With the ball at his feet, he thinks back to a lot of his previous interactions in Blue Lock, and says that his adaptability, his hopes for someone else, his pleasure, frustration, and even his hopelessness, he wants all of it to come at him right off the bat. After that, we get to the last panel, where he looks super demonic and almost crazy, as he says that he wants to live on the battlefield to meet the new him. He then asks Soccer to give him the excitement that he has been looking for. The ending text says, "The desire to evolve is boundless, the ego to score, and the obsession with a goal arouses his body to move." The next chapter will be called Hopes of the Sunlight, which is honestly pretty odd if you ask me, as right after the panel where we see Isagi looking manic, we'll get into a chapter with the title Sunlight. However, I know that somehow the authors will absolutely cook with it. Also, great news as there is no break next week, so we will continue on with this insane attack from Blue Lock. Now with that said, let's quickly go over this chapter as it was super insane. First up, I'm super glad to have Kurona in on the pitch. I guess that it's somewhat nice to see Raichi also. However, if I'm honest, then I don't really care for him, so if he wouldn't have gotten subbed in, I wouldn't have cared. However, Kurona on the other side, he is someone who I really like, which might be obvious from the channel picture, but still having him in on the field, and not only that, but taking the ball away from Onatsi right away. That really made me happy, as he got straight to action, and I can't wait to see if he will do something more now. Maybe if we are super lucky, then we might see a Planet Hotline with him and Isagi, as Hiyori is now subbed out. But this is also different from the bastard Munchen matches, as they are all now playing together, so he doesn't have to only align himself with Hiyori and Kurona, as he pretty much has his entire team right now. But still, I'm keeping my hopes high for a Kurona and Isagi goal, and while on the topic about it, we have to talk about Isagi and his... I don't even know what to say, as I don't know if this is an evolution or not. However, his new insane him, you could say. Now in the last chapter, I actually didn't think that Blue Lock would score another goal, as they already have 3, and there's only about 15 minutes left on the clock. But with this chapter we have gotten, now I might have changed my opinion on all of this, as in my opinion, it feels a bit strange to give Isagi this whole backstory and evolution, only for him to then maybe go to the goal and either just miss or something else. I do feel like this will be the one of the last attacks of this match, but that Isagi will seal this match off with a goal, which would make the scores 4-0. I do think that it will be like in the U20 match, where he scores around the last second, as that will leave it with the most impact. Even though it would be a bit sad seeing something so similar in this outright mid-game, as Nigeria isn't really do anything at all. I feel like I've been just speaking nonsense for the last minute, but what I wanted to get out is that I think that Isagi will for sure score a goal in this match. But with that said, please let me know down in the comments if you think that Isagi will score another goal, but also what you thought about this chapter overall. Anyway, if you like Blue Lock and videos like this, then I would highly suggest you subscribe to this channel, and while you are at it, leave a comment and a like, as it helps out with the algorithm a ton. And if you are curious to see another video of mine, then please watch the video that will be popping up on the screen now. Anyway, thanks for watching, and have a great day. Bye.